Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. This year, the committee has spent lots of time explaining the deficiencies in Staff Accounting Bulletin 121. Our efforts culminated in passing my resolution under the CRA to repeal the bulletin with support from Majority Leader Chuck Schumer in the Senate before it was eventually vetoed by the Biden-Harris administration. We are now hearing that the SEC's Office of the Chief Accountant is engaging in conversations with some market participants on a case-by-case confidential basis to inform them if they need to comply with SOB 121. It looks like one firm even received a non-objection from the bulletin. It's incredible how big of a hole the SEC has dug itself into. Yet, despite the backtracking and the rebuke from both houses of Congress, earlier today, Chair Gensler indicated he would not rescind SOB 121 in response to a question from my friend across the aisle, Mr. Wiley Nickel. Chair Gensler, now that the Office of the Chief Accountant is picking and choosing who needs to comply with SOB 121, why wouldn't the SEC simply rescind SOB 121 entirely or issue a new guidance?
Stepping back, this guidance, it's the 121st. It's what we've been doing for 52 years. And it's guidance about what happens in bankruptcy, whose assets are there. And crypto bankruptcy after crypto bankruptcy, the bankruptcy courts have said it's not the investors, it's the bankruptcy estate. That's what that accounting bulletin is about. Is it a liability in bankruptcy, basically? And customers get hurt.
Let me reclaim my time, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Peirce, what kind of signal does it send when the SEC is carving out individual firms from its own staff accounting guidance on an one-off basis? What would be the approach you'd recommend instead of a response to the problems caused by SOB 121?
The approach I'd recommend is we need to go back to the drawing board. We need to figure out what the right accounting is in this area, and we need to do that involving the public in a process, not just putting out a staff bulletin. And then applying it, Chair Gensler mentioned earlier, it applies to public companies, and that's true. It applies on its face to public companies, but we've also applied it to broker-dealers, and now, as you pointed out, we're peeling it back for particular entities. There was a question earlier about why there's only one custodian in the ETP space, and one of the reasons is because of our SAB 121, which makes it very hard for people to be custodians in this space.
And think about the market concentration. There's been no accounting bulletin from the SEC that has ever been as fundamentally flawed as SOB 121, nor has there ever been one that has been considered a rule according to the GAO, and we certainly haven't seen 60 U.S. senators overturn any of the 120 previous accounting bulletins either. Something's amiss here. This does not look right for the SEC. The situation we're in today is indicative of a failure of your organization to recognize just how problematic SOB 121 has been. Chair Gensler, do you believe that SOB 121 has led to concentration risk because of how few entities are able to offer digital asset custody services?
I think it's actually the right accounting. Off-balance sheet accounting is also what, in part, got us into the 2008 crisis. So just remember, like, when people are trying to hide things and put them off balance sheet, it's not good. Also,
you talk about hiding things, Chairman Gensler. We don't even know what deals you're cutting on SOB 121 when you give a no objection letter to a different firm. Like, if we're going to talk about hiding things, let's talk about transparency. Let's talk about how do people in this country operate under our laws when your commission is doing backroom deals with one-off companies and writing them a no objection letter. That's not transparent. That's not in the interest of the American people. You can't follow rules that you don't know about. What's going on?
The accounting bulletin is, the staff accounting bulletin is out, but also for years, companies come in, public companies, and said, this is how we're going to account for something. Do you object? And in this case, if it's remote from bankruptcy, if a company is going to go bankrupt and it's truly the customer's funds.
I'm going to hold you there because I want to give your colleague a chance. Commissioner Peirce, I'd like to pose the same question to you. It's market concentration. Is that a risk from SOB 121?
It is a risk, and the accounting raises real questions about whether this is protective of investors or not. And so that's why I think we need to go out with a real process to try to figure this out.
At the end of the day, the SEC has to read the room. And the entire House of Representatives voted on this, and a majority of members of the House rebuked SOB 121, and the Senate, led by the opposing party, they passed it with 60 votes, including the majority leader. This is not a good look for the SEC. this should go away, this is bad policy. With that, I yield back.